Hi everyone, Sean Gilliam here with Location Real Estate. Welcome to my tutorial on searching for properties on my website. I'm going to show you the basics of searching for homes, entering criteria that you're interested in, and also some tips and advice on the best way to do that so you can get the most amount of listings that might be a good fit for you. And then also a couple of basic tips on saving your search so that you can start getting listings in your email inbox as soon as they hit the market. Before I get into those details, though, just want to review a couple of things that make it a good reason to search for homes on my website as opposed to some of the larger websites, realtor.com, Zillow.com, and there's a plethora of others, as you know. But the first one is that when you register on my website, you'll use an email address, but that's private between you and me. That's not something that I sell. I won't hit you up with other advertisements, those kinds of things. Whereas some of these bigger platforms that you can sign up on and set up searches with, they're going to send you emails. They're going to send you advertisements for things you're not interested in. I've certainly gotten those myself, and just fills up your inbox before you realize it. And then who knows, if they sell your information or not. It just depends on what their policies are. But you won't have to deal with that from my website. Another reason is that I subscribe to both of the major MLSs or multiple listing services here in the area. There's Iris, which services Northern Colorado, and then RE Colorado, which services the greater Denver metro area. And of course, there's overlap between the two. And then another good reason is that with this search, you're in control. Certainly, I can set you up on a search with my MLS software, but I'm basing that, I fill in all the data and all the criteria and adjusting your search as you advise me. Whereas with this option, you can change the search parameters anytime you want to. You can start a search, stop a search. You can do anything you want. So you're in total control with this. So I think those are good reasons that it can be beneficial to you to use my website to search for properties. Now let's go ahead and get into the details. As you can see here, this is my website address, seangilliam.locationre.com. And as soon as you open that up, you will see at the very top of the page, you can go ahead and start your search. Now, these are very basic search parameters. It's the type of home. As you can see here, I would encourage you that pay attention to this detail on this front page, because you might only be interested in a single family home. If that's the case, you're going to want to unselect all of these options so that you're only getting single family properties in your inbox. And you can enter a city here. Bear in mind, you can only enter one city. So if you're just looking in the area of Longmont or one of the mountain communities or what have you, you can only enter one at a time. You can also enter school names, and you will get listings based on schools around that neighborhood that feed into that school. So that's also a nice option as well. But I would encourage you, if you're going to do some searching, to go ahead and click on more options so that you indeed can have more options. And it'll take you to this page. You'll have your map on your left. I'll get back to that in a minute. But on this right-hand side, this is where you can select all the criteria you want. You can get more or less specific. I will say that less is more. It's better to have fewer details or fewer criteria that you're looking for, so that way you can get the most amount of listings. And then as you look at those listings, you can select which ones are going to be a good fit for you. Because a lot of times when agents or even their assistants are entering data into the local MLS for a listing, they're not always consistent. And so they might have very specific information or very broad information. They might leave some information out. And so if you're looking for something very specific, you might not find it, or you might miss out on a property that indeed would have been a good fit for you. So less is more. So keep that in mind as you're putting criteria in here. Now back to this location. As I mentioned on the main page of my website, you can put a city here. You can put a school name. You can put an address. In fact, for instance, we will type in Longmont, and it'll show you a few options. So you can pick the overall city. That's what I would recommend. But as you scroll down, you can see different neighborhoods or different areas or parts of Longmont. And so you might be interested in a specific location. And so you can choose one of these accordingly. But like I said, you might be better off just choosing Longmont overall, and then you can see what kind of properties are showing up. Before we get into that, though, what if you want to look at a larger geographical area than just say Longmont or Boulder? You can do that over here on the map. I'll show you what you can do. You can zoom in on the location you want. And let's say you're interested in Longmont, but you're also interested in Berthoud and maybe South Loveland. So what you can do is scroll over here, and you see this box that says draw. You click on that, and then you'll see this plus sign show up. And so we'll say we'll do south of Highway 34. You only have to click it once. You don't have to hold it down. And then just scroll down and you'll see that dotted line will kind of show you where your boundaries are. And so let's say we want to get out here to the west side of Longmont, down here to the south side, and then scroll across. And maybe you want a property that's only homes that are on the west side of I-25. So you'll click on that, and then you'll scroll up here, and then you'll come back to your original dot or point, click on that, and now you have a polygon. So then you'll go over here, enter your criteria that you're looking for, and when you hit apply filters down here, when you're all done, it'll show you all those properties that match your criteria and are within that polygon that you made. Now I'm going to go ahead and clear this for the sake of this exercise or this example and just go back to typing in Longmont. And so now that we have the location set up, now the next criteria that they're asking for is minimum and maximum price. Now, I would encourage you to get pre-approved with a lender so you know how much home you can afford, and then you can take a look at what those monthly payments might be based on the interest rate and all those other details that you might qualify for, and see if that's going to be a good fit for you. I would even say in a market like we're in now, where it's still a seller's market, but it's feels more like a buyer's market as homes are staying on the market longer. More sellers are having to do price reductions, and you might even be able to negotiate a home down into your price range. So, for example, if you're pre-qualified for a $650,000 home, you might just start looking for homes that are $700,000 or less, because you might be able to negotiate them down into your price range. Or they might do it for you with several price reductions, as we've seen. So that's the price criteria. Now we look at bedrooms and bathrooms. Of course, this is suited based on your needs. I'll do kind of the standard 3 beds, 2 baths or more. And then we get down to home type. Now, by default, all of them are selected, just as I pointed out to you on the main site or main page of my website. So if you're looking for a single family home, you're going to want to click on each of these once to unselect or deselect them. And then that way, all the listings that you'll get will only be single family homes. I'll scroll down here a little bit, taking a look at property statuses. So you can have all active listings, which are homes that are actively on the market and are available. They're not under contract. Contingent means it's under contract. Backup means it's under contract and they are accepting backup offers. So that might be a potential if you're not in a hurry and there's a home that you really like, you might wait and see if it comes off the market or the buyers have to terminate for some reason. And then coming soon. So here in Northern Colorado, we now have coming soon. So by the time you start marketing for a property, it has to go active within 7 days. So you want to be aware of those, just because you might see a home that you like and you want to be ready for when it actually hits the market. So we'll just keep those defaults selected. Property styles, I would caution you, maybe leave this blank. You might want a 1-story ranch home. Maybe you can get away with that, but I would not get down in here where you get all these specific details. Because like I said before, not all listing agents will enter this kind of information. So it's potentially, you might miss a listing because it doesn't have patio home listed or raised ranch or all these other details. So it might be wise to just leave that alone. It's up to you. You can play around with it and see what shows up. Then we get into specifics about the property. For the home, is you might have a maximum amount of square feet. The max is over 30,000 square feet. Not going to find a home that big here in Longmont. But, you might, like I said, err on the side of going a little larger. And then that way you'll make sure you get as many listings as possible to choose from. And then you can decide how much home you want to have. Maybe you don't want to have that much home to clean. So stick around, say 5,000 square feet. Acreage, you might not have a preference here. As long as it has a yard, that's fine. But if you want to do some gardening, you might want to have at least 0.1 or 0.2. It just depends. And no max, maybe you're interested in as much home as you can, land as you can afford. Year built, some people might like older homes, and so they'll put a cap like 1950 or less. And then some people might like newer homes. So maybe it's 2000 or 2010 or newer, just because that's a preference for you. You want a newer style home. And then we get down here to walk score, Walker's Paradise. You can imagine that that's probably talking about you're close to downtown and you can walk to all the amenities. And then these vary by degree. Play around with that and see what kind of homes show up, but it might be best to just say any. And then, like I said, you can choose accordingly as far as which homes best suit your needs. General options for property features and amenities. You might find a few in here that you like. Again, less is more. So if you want to be by a golf course or it has a pool, or maybe you have to have a 55 or older community, those are options you can select as well. Financial options, I would recommend you just leave this alone. You might find some foreclosures. There's not that many. I think across all of northern Colorado, there were 48 in the most recent list. So that's not a huge amount. And then structural options. You might want a fireplace, or you might want a home with air conditioning, or you might want to have a 3-car garage. So those are things you can select that can be helpful as far as narrowing down your search. But again, be careful, less is more. Rental options don't really count if you're looking to buy a home. And you can enter keywords, play around with this and see how many homes it turns up. You might have a very specific need that you want to put in there and see if that works. Again, not all listing agents enter the data the same way. So there's potential you might miss something. So now that we've had some of these criteria selected, we'll go ahead and click down here on Apply Filters. And it will show us on the map where those homes are located, and it'll show us over here in the right-hand column. You'll see that there's two. This is a new construction community, and so they have multiple listings presented. And then you'll also see some are RE Colorado and some are nondescript. These are the ones from Iris. And so that's why you'll see the same home listed a couple of times. But go ahead and scroll through and find a home you like. For instance, look at this one on 1610 Heirloom Way. We'll click on that. When you click on the address, it'll show you where on the map that home is located. If you want to see specific property details, I'll scroll up here so you can see the whole thing. Click on View Details. That'll take you to a separate page. I'll show you that in a minute. You can click on this. That will show you similar properties, but you'll also see that on the separate page as well, but you can go there right away from here. And then if you want to save this property, this is one you really like, you want to come back to it, take a look at it, maybe review it with your family members or what have you. But for now, we'll click on View Details. It takes you to a separate page. And here you can scroll through pictures. You see this plus sign, so you can enlarge that photo to get a better look at it. I'll go ahead and close that down. Over here on the right-hand side, you have various ways of getting in touch with me. This will all go directly to me, so I can answer any questions you have. If you really like this property and want to see it as soon as possible, or this coming weekend, you can request a showing. You can also set up this home as an email alert to kind of keep apprised of what's happening with it. You can print the flyer for yourself, and you can also share it on social media. Some, not all, will have a virtual tour. Sometimes these are separate videos that a listing agent put together, or sometimes they're slideshows of all the pictures that you can see here with some music in the background, but it's just another way of looking at the property. And then you can see the narrative that the listing agent put in the MLS, and then also specific details about the property, what county it's in, the neighborhood it's in, the zip code. And then you can scroll down here to see what the property taxes are, the year it was built, and how big of a yard this is, how many beds and baths, all helpful information. It'll tell you which schools that this neighborhood feeds into. And then it'll give you a price history. And lately, like I said, we've seen some price reductions. So this was originally listed on July 14th at $729. And a couple of weeks later, they reduced the price to $699.9, and that's where it's staying. And that kind of shows the seller might have a willingness to negotiate. And then more details about the property. This does have an HOA, so that is the HOA's name. It'll give you other specific details about the property. It's got central air. That's an important one for those hot summer days. A lot of people want that already. And yeah, you can just scroll down and see some of the features that a property has. And then it'll have some other specific details about the interior, what type of flooring there is. Sometimes listing agents will put the exact measurements of rooms or the estimated measurements of rooms. This one does not, so but some of them do. So that's helpful if you want to see how big the bedrooms are, especially the secondary bedrooms. If you're going to use that as an office or a guest room or room for your family, sometimes it's helpful to know just how big those bedrooms are. And then amenities, it gives you more specific details. It's got a fireplace, it's got air conditioning, it's got a basement, and then some data about the property, its price in relation to other properties within the zip code, and other information. It shows you the map view and then the Google Maps street view. And like I said, here's some similar properties in the area that you can take a look at too, that you can shop and compare with. And then in the neighborhood, these are other listings. Obviously, there's only two. These are doubled up just because, again, I subscribe to two multiple listing services. So that is what the specific property page looks like. You can even see testimonials regarding people I've worked with in the past, areas I cover, and then more information on the MLSs that I work with. So that you can do that for each property you look at. And then when you go back to this main page, so you like the search criteria, it's showing you homes that you like, you can scroll up to the top here and then save this search. And when you do so, you'll see this page right here. You can enter your email address, or if you have a Google account, you can do that as well, or with Facebook. And we'll continue with Facebook. You'll see this screen. This is an option you can enter with a cell number, and it'll be used as a password. You don't have to do that. It just depends on what works for you. Or you can click on no thanks, just let me in. And then it'll take you to this page, and then you can sign in through your Facebook details. So I'm not going to do that. But when you save that search, then automatically you're going to be getting emails to your inbox based on what your search was and what kind of properties you want to have sent to you. And I'm going to back out of all this. And that is basically how it works. So you will get listings, take a look at them. You can open up those specific property pages. And then, of course, get in touch with me. If you have questions that maybe the page is not letting you know, that I can go talk to the listing agent, or maybe I have more specific information from the MLS. Be glad to help you with that. And of course, if you want to start looking at properties, I can connect you with lenders to help you get pre-approved, and then also set up showings so we can start taking a look at homes. You'll find as you look at photos, I always encourage people, always see a home in person. Sometimes the photos embellish and make a not so good home look amazing. And sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes an amazing home doesn't look so great because of the pictures and the way they were taken. But it's always great to see them in person. And so I would recommend you not to hesitate to get in touch if you want to start looking at properties. Hope this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.